The alien princess stood at the balcony of her crystal palace, gazing at the twin suns as they dipped below the horizon of her home planet. Her thoughts wandered to the man she had married, a human she had once believed simple, ordinary, even. Yet, beneath his calm demeanor and quiet smile, something simmered that she had yet to comprehend. She had met him months ago when her ship docked on Earth for a diplomatic mission. At first, he had seemed unremarkable, a soldier assigned to escort her to safety during her brief visit. He did not boast of achievements, nor did he flaunt courage, yet he moved with a grace that was subtle but deliberate. Something in his calm eyes had drawn her attention. Their marriage had been unexpected. A political arrangement meant to unite her people with humanity. It had started as convenience. She had imagined that her husband would be a gentle figure, more ceremonial than active, someone who could hold an alien court without challenging the traditions of her world. She had not expected him to carry the weight of extraordinary skill behind his quiet posture. The first time she had truly noticed was during a ceremony in the palace garden. The air had been thick with the scent of glowing flowers, their petals luminescent even under the fading sunlight. A delegation from a neighboring star system had arrived, their intentions less than friendly. The guards, though numerous, were slow to react, their armor catching light in a way that made them seem vulnerable. Her husband had stood beside her, his hand resting on the hilt of a simple sword at his side. She had laughed at the sight, thinking it quaint, almost decorative. But when the alien envoy moved to threaten her, the smile vanished from her face, not in a motion so swift it seemed almost a blur. He drew the sword. The weapon sang through the air, a silver arc of precision that cut through tension and danger alike. His movements were not those of a trained soldier. They were far beyond that. Every step, every strike, held the mark of someone who understood combat as instinct, as second nature. The envoy had not even reacted before being disarmed and restrained. Their pride shattered in moments. The princess had stared at him, her breath caught in her throat. The man she had assumed ordinary had revealed a depth she had never imagined. That day, she began to see him differently. The quiet human she had married was no longer a figure of ceremony. He was a protector, a strategist, and a warrior whose skills seemed almost otherworldly. Weeks passed, and the palace began to hum with rumors. Whispers among the attendants spoke of his strength, his ability to read situations before they unfolded, and his uncanny understanding of alien technology. The princess found herself drawn, not just to his prowess, but to the way he thought, how he saw patterns and possibilities where others saw chaos. One evening, the planet's moon rose in a halo of blue light, casting shadows across the palace halls. She walked beside him as he inspected the armory, a place she had never ventured. The walls were lined with weapons of ancient design, each humming with energy unique to her world. "Do you know what these do?" she asked, lifting one small blade that shimmered like water in sunlight. He smiled faintly. "I can figure it out. Sometimes it helps to understand what a weapon can do before the enemy shows it." The simplicity of the statement carried weight. It was not arrogance, but confidence rooted in experience. He turned to her, eyes meeting hers with a seriousness that made her pulse quicken. "I married you because I chose to, not because of duty or politics or expectation. I will protect you no matter the threat." She felt a warmth she had not expected, a bond that went deeper than ceremonial vows. This was more than marriage. It was trust, a recognition that strength could come in the quietest forms. Their days flowed with learning and teaching. He showed her how to move with awareness, how to sense danger in subtle signs, and how to trust her instincts as a leader. She, in turn, shared the intricacies of her culture, the politics of her court, and the science of her people. Together, they became more than a political pair. They became a unit, A partnership of mind and skill. The first real test came when a rogue fleet appeared in orbit, ships bristling with weapons and cloaked in shadows that made them almost invisible. Her people panicked, unsure of the intentions of the intruders. Councils argued over defense strategies, their voices rising with fear and indecision. The princess turned to her husband, seeking his counsel. He studied the fleet with calm precision, analyzing the formations and the patterns of their movement. "They are testing us," he said. "They are confident we will hesitate. We cannot." Together, they devised a strategy that combined human tactics with alien technology. He trained the palace guards, teaching them formations that maximized their strengths and minimized their weaknesses. She rallied the court, inspiring her people with the courage that came from believing in her partner as much as herself. The fleet attacked. It was not a chaotic battle. It was a dance of precision. Each move anticipated and countered. The princess watched in awe as her husband led from the front, his sword slicing through threats, his mind orchestrating defense, and offense with fluidity. The aliens had underestimated humans, assuming their simplicity equated to weakness. They were wrong. By the end of the conflict, the intruders had retreated, their fleet scattered and humiliated. The palace celebrated, but the princess's mind was on her husband. She realized that in marrying him, she had not simply gained a partner. She had gained an anchor, a force of humanity that reminded her people that courage could come in forms unexpected. Later, in the quiet of their chambers, she approached him, tracing the line of his jaw with her fingers. "I thought I knew you," she said softly. "I thought you were simple." He chuckled, a low, warm sound. "I am human," he replied. "Simple in some ways, yes, but humans have ways of surprising even themselves." She smiled, leaning against him. "You have changed. Everything here. You have changed me." "Perhaps," he said, "but you have changed me too. I am stronger because of you, because of this world, because of what we face together." In the months that followed, their bond deepened. She learned that strength was not always loud or flashy. Sometimes it was quiet, patient, and unwavering. Sometimes it was a human soldier who could draw a sword and change the course of history. One day, a festival lit the city with colors and lights unfamiliar to human eyes. The princess stood on the balcony, watching the celebrations below, but her thoughts were with the man beside her. He had been awarded honors by her people, yet he remained modest, speaking only of the need to protect, to understand, to serve. Then came the moment that would be remembered in stories for generations. A delegation from a distant empire arrived, their ships larger than any before. They carried a message of challenge, daring her people to surrender or face annihilation. The princess felt a flicker of fear, but she did not voice it. Instead, she turned to her husband. "What do we do?" He drew his sword, its blade gleaming in the alien light. "We show them who we are," he said simply. It was not just the movement of the weapon that astonished those who watched. It was the certainty in his stance, the clarity of purpose in every gesture. He led the charge, not with brute force alone, but with strategy and understanding, turning the tide before the enemy could realize the battle had begun. Her people rallied behind him, inspired by his courage and his humanity. The alien princess realized in that moment that marriage had brought her not just love, but leadership, courage, and a protector whose skill surpassed legend. After the battle, when the skies cleared and peace returned, she found him standing alone, his sword sheathed, watching the horizon. She stepped beside him, slipping her hand into his. "I underestimated you," she admitted. He shook his head. "You never underestimated the human spirit. You underestimated what it could do with trust, love, and a reason to fight." She looked at him then, not as a husband, but as a hero, a partner, and a symbol of hope for both her people and humanity. "You drew your sword and changed everything," she whispered. "And you believed in me," he replied. "And that changed me." The twin suns set behind them, painting the sky in gold and violet. Together they faced the future, a princess and her human husband, proving that sometimes the quietest heart holds the mightiest strength. Peace reigned in the palace and across the world. Yet the legend of the human soldier spread far beyond the stars. He had come as simple, perhaps ordinary, yet he had become extraordinary through courage, skill, and unwavering loyalty. The princess no longer saw him as ordinary. She saw him as the man who had drawn his sword and changed destiny.